Hello student, welcome back. It is module 6, lecture 2, Satellite Communication MECE 106A, Shongita Roy, Assistant Professor, Electronics and Communication Engineering Department, Narula Institute of Technology. Content of lecture 1. Multiple access techniques. Multiple access, assignment and network architectures, frequency division multiple access, multiplex FDMA, single channel per carrier SCPC, time division multiple access, system configuration, synchronization in TDMA systems. A typical example, the Intelsat, EUTELSAT TDMA system, frequency and time division multiplex access FDMA TDMA, packet transmission random access TDMA RATDMA, code division multiple access CDMA, and spread spectrum basic concept, direct sequence system, frequency hopping system, asynchronous and synchronous CDMA, ACDMA with non-coherent detection, SCDMA. A typical example, the Intelsat EDU-Telsat TDMA system. Table 5.1 shows the main transmission parameters of the most important TDMA system under current utilization, that is to those standardized for and implemented on the Intelsat and EU-Telsat satellites. These systems are designed to operate with 72 MHz or 80 MHz transponders at 64 GHz and 1114 GHz, and also to be compatible with satellite switched transponder SSTDMA. Terrestrial interfaces can be equipped for operating with direct digital interface DD1 at 2 Mbps or with digital speech interpolation DSI modules. The system make use of reference station to achieve acquisition and synchronization of the traffic burst as explained above. Each reference station is equipped with sufficient redundancy to provide a high degree of reliability, and in order to satisfy Intelsat, EU-Telsat continuity of service requirement, each reference station operating in a given coverage area has a separate secondary reference station. In SSTDMA, however, only 2 reference stations are required per system to achieve the same continuity of service. The reference stations are also in charge of the function of monitoring the TDMA system. Note that thanks to the utilization of modern technology, VLSL circuits, advanced digital modems, and FEC codecs, PC-based monitoring and control, etc., new compact TDMA terminals are now available. More information on TDMA systems and earth station terminals is given earlier. This table 6.1 shows transmission rate is 120.832 Mbps, radio frequency band transmits 6 GHz Intelsat and 14 GHz EU-Telsat. Receiver is 4 GHz or 11 GHz. Modulation 4 PSK or QPSK. Symbol bitrate is 60.431 megasymbols per second. Demodulation, coherent. Encoding, absolute no differential. Error correction coding, FEC, rate is 78, BCH optional. Nominal IF or RF bandwidth 72 MHz. Maximum earth station EIRP is 81.5 dB watt, 6 GHz Intelsat. Note that EIRP for the Intelsat 7 satellite minimum elevation angle is 10 degree and beam center correcting beams to be added for the other angles and locations. 83 dB watt, 14 GHz EU-Telsat. Note that EIRP for 14.5 GHz worst case location correcting terms to be added for other frequency and locations. Bit error rate or ratio BER in compliance with ITU recommendation ISDN. Terrestrial interfaces digital speech interpolation DS1 or digital non-interpolation DN1. Frequency and time division multiple access FDMA and TDMA. As explained above, TDMA can be combined with FDMA by transmitting a particular TDMA carrier in a fraction of the satellite transponder, that is by sharing by FDMA and the transponder between this TDMA carrier and other carrier TDMA and continuous. Of course, while full transponder TDMA transmission normally use high bit rate 60 to 120 megabits per second and occupy the full bandwidth of the transponder. Such FDMA TDMA transmission use lower bit rates 30 to 10 megabits per second or even less. This type of multiple access method requires a significant backoff in the power amplifiers, satellite and possibly earth station, so that the transponder efficiency is lower than with pure TDMA. However, this technique may be well adapted to some traffic configurations. By keeping some advantages of pure TDMA, especially for data transmissions, the possibility of implementing demand-assigned DA of the channels within the TDMA frames may also be beneficial. In demand-assigned TDMA, DA TDMA and earth station is assigned time slots on demand by a center or control earth station. Packet transmission. In packet data communication, the information is transmitted by grouping the data into packets. Each packet usually includes a header and a payload, while the latter contains the information proper. The former contains all service data necessary for identifying and routing the packet. Packet-oriented data communication are often implemented in VSAT networks with a star architecture and the central earth station called the hub, acting as a packet switch. A particular case of packet communication directly transmitted through the satellites is dealt with below. More details on packet transmission and switching in VSAT networks will be found of the handbook. The most modern form of packet-oriented communication is the asynchronous transfer mode ATM, standardized by ITU-T, especially for broadband ISDN, BISDN. In ATM, the packet are small, fixed-size blocks of data called cells, 53 byte long, including a 5 byte header. However, it must be noted that in ATM communications, that is for BISDN, a satellite link when implemented in the network is generally used simply as a transmission medium, where a well-adapted transmission mode could be RATDMA. It is only in the case of satellites with onboard processing OBP that the satellite can be used as an ATM switch. For a more detailed description of ATM, it will be shown afterwards. Random access TDMA, RATDMA. Random access TDMA, the access and assignment mode used in the so-called Aloha systems, is a particular type of low bit rate TDMA where a large number of users share asynchronously the same satellite transponder capacity by randomly transmitting short bursts of packets. Here are several types of Aloha system. The main one are pure Aloha or slotted Aloha. In pure Aloha method, the timing for the packet transmission is purely random. Each user terminal local earth station will transmit a packet whenever there arises the need to transmit one. The packets so transmitted from the different user terminals, however, may overlap at the satellite transponder. Such overlapping or collision are monitored either by terminals themselves or through a control station and an acknowledge process. Useful packets are retransmitted until correct reception by the end user. When the traffic volume is small, the probability of useful transmission is 1 single satellite hop, that is to within a short delay, is high. However, the probability of collision increases with the traffic volume up to a limit where the system becomes unstable, which means that a control mechanism should be implemented. In the slotted Aloha method, a synchronization mechanism is introduced in the TDMA. A control station transmits to the terminal timing information which defines time slots, the duration of which is approximately equal to the packet length. Each user terminal is allowed to transmit a packet in the period of each time slot. Two packets or more transmitted in the same slot will result in a collision in the satellite transponder and will need retransmission. But as there will be no partial collision, the overall probability of packet collision is, however, lower. In supplementary to their rather high average transmission delay due to retransmissions, the most significant operational parameter of Aloha systems is their throughput, that is to the ratio between the actually transmitted traffic and the full capacity of the TDMA carrier. It can be shown that the maximum throughput of pure Aloha is 18.8 as is increased to 34.8% for the slotted Aloha. Due to their implementation simplicity, satellite Aloha systems are largely used for low bitrate transmission where delay is not a major problem, especially in bus networks VSATs. Another very usual application is to common signaling channel, that is to for TDMA reservation systems. Again, more details on RATDMA will be found. Code division multiple axis CDMA. There is a third multiple access category called code division multiple access CDMA. CDMA systems were originally designed for military purposes, but they are now used as for commercial system also. With FDMA, the signals from the various users are amplified by the satellite transponder in a given allocated bandwidth at the same time, but at different frequency. In TDMA, they are amplified at different time, but at the same nominal frequency, being spread by the modulation in a given bandwidth. In a third category of multiple access called code division multiple access, the signal operates simultaneously at the same nominal frequency but are spread in the given allocated bandwidth by a specific encoding process. The bandwidth may extend to the entire transponder bandwidth but is often restricted to a part of the transponder. In fact, CDMA can possibly be combined if needed with FDMA or TDMA. As concerned the specific encoding process, each user there is actually assigned a signature sequence, that is to with its own characteristic code chosen in a set of codes assigned individually to the various users of the system. This code is mixed as a supplementary modulation with the useful information signal. On reception from all the signals they are received, a given user or station is able to select and recognize by its own code the signal which is intent for it and then extract the useful information. Note that the other received signal can those intended for other users, but they can also originate from the unwanted emissions, which gives CDMA certain anti-jamming capability. For this operation, where it is necessary to identify one signal among several others sharing the same band at the same time, correlation techniques are generally employed. The two most common CDMA techniques are direct sequence DS, also called pseudo-noise PN modulation, which is the dominant technique. Frequency hopping modulation FH. Although FH systems do find application in satellite communication and other techniques have been proposed, such as time hopping, this section will mostly deal with DS system. As a result of this technique, the transmitted bandwidth, the given allocated bandwidth referred to above, is much larger by 10 to the power 3 or more than the base bandwidth of the information signal. This is why these processes are also called spread spectrum or spread spectrum multiple access SSMS. CDMA techniques. Some of the features of CDMA systems are summarized below. Unlike FDMA and TDMA, only minimum dynamic coordination is needed between the various transmitters. The system intrinsically accommodates multiple users and new users can easily be introduced. In principle, no channel assigned control is needed. Only the transmitted signal is subjected to gradual degradation when the satellite transponder loading increases. This is because in a given receiving earth station, each other signal not designated to this station is received as a supplementary unwanted noise-like signal. The others transmit their signal in the same extended bandwidth. In fact, the capacity of the system is limited by the quality of the transmission, which is acceptable in the presence of the self-noise or self-interference, also called MAI, multiple access interference, caused by other users of the system. The power flux density PFD of the CDMA signals as received in the service area is automatically limited with no need for any other energy dispersal process. As already explained, CDMA brings out significant anti-jamming capability. It also provides a low probability of intercept by other users and some kind of privacy due to individual characteristics code. As a sequence of these features, CDMA allows a good flexibility in the management of traffic and other orbit spectrum resources. At present, these advantages prove to be particularly effective in new systems devoted to communication towards very small terminals, either for MSS application or for FSS application. Direct sequence systems. Direct sequence system is PN sequence generator generates pseudo-random binary sequence of length n at a rate r with RC is equal to n into RB. RB is the information bit rate. This sequence is combined with modulo 2 added with the information signal. This means that each information signal bit is cut in n small chips, thus spreading the combined signal in a much larger bandwidth. This signal modulates usually PSK, BPSK or QPSK. The carrier before transmission. At the receiver, a replica of the PN sequence is generated and combined by a correlation process in synchronization with the transmitted sequence. This results in despreading of the received signal, which is restored by coherent or non-coherent demodulation. So this is the figure. This is data is coming, spreader or adder, then modulator, then UC plus HPA. UC is up converter, HPA is high power amplifier. Then it is transmitted through the antenna to satellite, and then after satellite different operation receiving the signal, it is again retransmitted and it is received by earth station, another earth station antenna. Then it is coming through the block LNA plus DC, where LNA is a low noise amplifier, DC is down converter, then despreader, then it is passing through different channels and demodulator, then it is formed again, forming the original data form data. So corresponding 1, 2, 3, 4 different stage, how in the stage 1 it is showing the data with a bandwidth of RB by 2 spreaded by in the figure 2, then it is through jammer it is coming, it is showing in figure 3, then it is coming to the original after filtering to the original signal in step 4. Frequency hopping system. The frequency hopping system block diagram will be shown. The system works similarly to the direct sequence system. Since a correlation process is also performed at the receiver, the difference is that here the pseudo-random sequence is used to control a frequency synthesizer, which results in the transmission of each information bit in the form of n multiple pulses at different frequency in an extended bandwidth. Coherent demodulation is difficult to implement in FH receivers because it is difficult to maintain phase relation between the frequency steps. Due to the relatively slow operation of frequency synthesizer, DS system permit higher code rates than FH systems. In fact, combined FH-DH system has been proposed and give better results. It is shown frequency hopping CDMA. Data is coming through the modulator. It is modulated with a carrier intermediate frequency. Then there is spreader, wideband mixer. Here the frequency hopping synthesizer with the center frequency F is there. Then up converter with HP. High power amplifier is there. Then it is transmitted through the satellite. Then after satellite it is retransmitted. It is coming to earth station receiver again, and it is coming through a jammer. Then low noise amplifier and down converter, despreader, wideband plus mixer with the center frequency F, intermediate frequency. There is a PN coder is there. Then it is passing through the demodulator. Again the signal is recovered. CDMA parameter and performance. In the supplement of the spreading factor M is equal to RC by RS, where RS is the symbol rate, the two basic parameters defining CDMA system performance are the processes gain and the jamming margin. The so-called processing gain GP bandwidth to the performance information bandwidth, it is showing GP is equal to WSS by RB almost is equal to RS by RB, and GP is equal to 10 log WSS by RB is almost is equal to 10 log RC by RB. This expression, the ratio of the signal to noise ratio are EB by NO of the output signal after the dispreading to the signal to noise of the signal at the receiving input. Processing gain GP can typically extend to the form of 20 dB up to 60 dB. The jamming margin MJ when expressed in dB is the maximum tolerable interference to signal power ratio, the degree of interference which a CDMA system can accept for a given specified transmission quality EB by NO, where BER bit error rate. By interference this is meant any type of undesired signal, either self noise due to the other users of the system or an external jamming signal in the same extended bandwidth. If J is the undersigned the signal power, its spectral density is J by WSS, and the total noise density is NO is equal to NO threshold plus J divided by WSS. Assuming that J by WSS is dominant against the thermal noise NO threshold and S is equal to EB. RB is the desired signal power, then the theoretical jamming margin is MJ is equal to J by S is equal to WSS NO divided by EB by RB is equal to GP divided by EB by NO. And if it is in capital MJ, then it is GP minus EB by NO minus L in dB. The last expression in terms L is introduced as an implementation margin about 1 to 3 dB, representing various losses, spreading, despreading, demodulation, etc. This expression can be seen as a thumb rule of the system capacity, that is to the number of users that can be accommodated, assuming that each user is received at the same level and that there is no external jammer. For example, if the specified EB by NO is 8 dB and L is equal to 2 dB, the capacity is about 1/10 of the processing gain. Asynchronous and synchronous CDMA. General, the description of the direct sequence system actually applies to asynchronous CDMA, ACDMA links. Such as links are particularly suited when synchronizing cannot be achieved between the signals generated by various users. This is specifically the case of return links, some small earth station to base station. Whenever on all contrary all user signals are generated or may be coordinated with a single station, it can be more appropriate to synchronize the various signals. This is called synchronous CDMA or SCDMA. Although such a process should be considered more relevant to multiplexing than to multiple access. The advantage of SCDMA is that multiple access interference MAI can be avoided, therefore exchanging the system capacity. This is particularly appropriate to satellite links where multiple paths do not destroy signal orthogonality. In consequence, in current CDMA mobile system project, SCDMA has been adopted for forward links and ACDMA for the return links. ACDMA can actually be considered as the true CDMA, or ACDMA signal can be received by coherent detection or by non-coherent detection. ACDMA with coherent detection. As usual in digital communication, coherent detection provides the best BER versus EB by NO performance. Furthermore, this performance is usually improved just as in conventional PSK modulation by combining forward error correction FEC coding with spreading signature code. For example, convolution codes are used, or even trellis coded modulation TCM can be used depending on system characteristics. It should be noted that using a rare R code does not mean that the transmitted bandwidth should be further increased by a factor 1 by R. In fact, FEC encoding can be considered as a first stage of the bandwidth extension that can be integrated with CDMA proper spreading, thus keeping in principle M and GP at their specified value. The bar BER obtained bar coherent detection of PSK modulation ACDMA signal is the same as in conventional PSK, except that a term relevant to the MAI noise caused by the other users of the system must be added to the thermal noise in the formulas. ACDMA with non-coherent detection. Notwithstanding its performance advantages, ACDMA with coherent detection is seldom practicable for low or medium bit rate communication system using small low-cost terminal. This is especially the case in the higher frequency bands, where significant phase noise can occur in the up or down converters. System implementing robust while efficient demodulators with differential or non-coherent detection have been proposed and are actually implemented in various satellite and terrestrial mobile systems. In a particular system, FEC convolution encoding is combined with an inner WH encoding and with a very long outer PN sequence. The period of this sequence is much longer than the chip rate and is common to all users. The design of the demodulation and decoder used gives to this system near to the optimum performance, especially in the case of satellite links. SCDMA. The most common codes for SCDMA are the so-called orthogonal codes like Walsh, Hadamard, binary function, or quasi-orthogonal codes. This is particularly true in satellite application. It gives very good isolation and multiplexing channels where chip rates up to 5 Mbps can be used without significant deterioration of the channel orthogonality. Due to multipath, situation is much less favorable in terrestrial systems. Carrier and chip clock synchronization is usually achieved in SDMA links by the transmission of a reference pilot carrier in the spread SCDMA multiplex, which is common to all user terminals coherent demodulators. Again, various implementation processes and demodulation schemes have been proposed and are actually implemented in satellite and terrestrial mobile system. For example, just as for a ACDMA, a system based on the combination of an inner WH encoding with a long outer PN sequence can be used. Quasi-synchronous CDMA system with slightly lower performance have also been proposed. Power control technique in CDMA system. As stated before, CDMA systems are particularly subject to mutual interference caused by the multiple users of the system MAI. Furthermore, this effect is highly dependent on the relative signal levels received from the intended user and from the various interference. Basic system capacity calculation assume that each user is received at the same level, but actual situation can be very different and ACDMA return links can be subject to so-called near-far effects. The term means the intended signal level may be more distant than an interfering signal. In case of satellite links, the unbalance between the received signal depend mainly on the path loss variation due to the user location with respect to the center of satellite antenna beam. In the case of non-geostationary satellite, NGSO system often use low Earth orbiting satellite constellations. This location and thus the path loss is time dependent, and interfering signal may also arise from other satellites in the constellation. In addition, in the case of mobile system, the path can be randomly obstructed by vegetation, buildings, etc. And also due to the low directivity of the earth station, user terminal, antenna, multiple path loss can occur. In consequence, power control techniques are generally needed in such cases or systems. Power control can be implemented by a coarse open loop technique generally based on the correlation of the uplink power through estimation of a pilot signal level, and or by closed loop technique, that is to by a signal reception at the other end of the link and transmission of correlation data via return signaling packet. So these are the references. Thank you. We are ending the session.